everyone. I've just got a quick talk about digital imaging and what it is that we nerds do. Last week I was lucky enough to get the permission of Matt and Lee down at the Plough and Harrow in Litlington to use their little garden bit at the bottom as a takeoff patch for a little bit, just a bit of a test flight. I haven't really been out with the vehicles for a number of months, so I thought I'd take this one out and stretch its legs. Now, I had a friend with me and he wanted to have a good demonstration of what we were doing, and obviously on the day all he got to see was the actual flight itself and then a video of it. So we did 3 flights overall. What I did, I went in and had a quick look at the Plough and Harrow's roof for them, just to make sure everything was tickety-boo, which it is. I shall show you that in a minute. And then we went over the bridge and then did a nice long stretchy legs type flight all the way from the bridge here all the way down to the new bridge down here. Had a good look at Frogfurl and the valley and High Nova. And then came back again, went across the valley this way to the maximum 500 meters, which I'm allowed. And I'm just going to show you what we managed to capture. So first of all, we'll have a quick look at the flight. So taking off from the bridge across the fields, there might be a couple of playback issues. Let's have a look. And got some really nice images of Frogfurl and I think Mick and Liz's house and Roger and Val's house down there, and then the road going all the way up, and absolutely beautiful lighting conditions with the sun really low in the sky, so we had some nice long shadows. And what we noticed was, there's a little bit of wobble on the vehicle there, what we noticed as we flew away were these trenches here. Now it turns out that I flew back, it turns out that these are in fact scarring from, there we go. We just have a look at that on the approach. Due to the light being low in the sky, we were able to pick out these really, really nice geometric lines. And after a little bit of asking, turns out there's a 9th century settlement there, which I don't believe it's been excavated. As far as I can tell, Time Team showed an interest, but we were not able to get the permissions to dig. So hopefully with a little bit more evidence such as this, we might be able to have a good look as to what's under there. So we just flew up, turned around, came back again along the river, and look, there's the little village of Litlington, absolutely gorgeous, with the Plough and Harrow just coming up through here, and just take a look at his flat roof up there. So that's all we'll do with the flight for the time being. Let's have a quick look at the images that I got. So as it was flying, not only was it taking video, it was also taking some really nice stills as well, which I used to great effect. So we've got some really nice approaches, and we just have a quick look at the actual roof itself. Now, there we go. Simply did an approach and a little bit of a fly across. As you can see, there's absolutely no water gathering or anything like that, so we know that's good. And just a quick check, there's nothing, no puddling or anything, and nothing obvious. Obviously, without a close-up inspection of some of the ceiling, you know, it'd be impossible to tell. But I managed to feed these through to be able to get a much closer look at the Plough and Harrow, and what we've created from that is a 3D point cloud. So that's a scan of the area there, and created a mesh as well. It's a bit low res because I let the settings turn down, and you can see that there's blank spots around the side where I didn't get any data. This has been quite a useful tool for creating 3D scans of things. If I just go into what Ebbs didn't know whilst we were flying is that I also had in mind a scanning regime, a scanning program, as it were. So here is Litlington as a 3D model. All of that data taken from the same flight that we did to do the roof. So we've obviously got up close to the roof. We've got a nice model of Jevington from far out like that as well. Really lots of data in there. The edges of the scene are a little bit stretched, but that's just due to a technical issue and me rushing around. So a lot of people are quite interested in the scanning side of things. So what I've done is a little demo around the corner of the Plough and Harrow. Let's just have a quick look around here. Just up and along this edge is a flint wall, and I took some shots of the wall, and you can see that this cable here is roughly 10 to 12 mil thick, so it just gives you an impression of how how big the actual scene is. So I just took several photos, just having a quick look at that bit of wall there, and fed that into my scanning system and managed to get a very neat and tidy cloud. This is a point cloud of that bit of wall. I called it the polar bear wall because I think that that little stone there looks like a polar bear. So as we were saying earlier, this bit of cable here is around about 10 to 12 mil thick. So we can really see that some of these stones in the pug here are sort of less than a millimetre. So when we're looking at accuracy, that's a low res model. Let's just load up the super high res one. Okay, and the super high res one really shows all of the profile and detail of that wall. Yep, granted it is just a flint wall, but let's have a quick, really zoom into that, and you can see just how much of the profile we're getting just from a few pictures. So if we switch on the picture locations, you can see that I was stood out a little bit and just simply went around it, just kind of orbited around with the camera and just took 7 shots. That was all, and managed to get all of that data. Let's get right in there. And we see some of these tiny little stones, which are, some of them are probably about 1/10 of a millimetre across. So in terms of accuracy, we can get quite a lot of accuracy out of that. If you have a look at, this is the low res mesh, which can be used. This is a low res version of the, well, obviously of the high res version, but the applications for this are actually quite good. What I'm looking at doing later on is perhaps offering to scan and restore 3D print. So if you have like a wall sconce or a bit of plaster work which it needs to be replacing, what we can do is go in there, scan it to the sub-millimetre, including the textures and colours as well, and then build up a nice high-res mesh which we can then send to a 3D printer for a reproduction of that. And as you can see, it works on any scale from the sub-millimetre all the way up to gigantic 1 mile across or 2 or 3 miles across with enough planning. So let me just load up another project to show you a little bit more detail. So this was a project from a couple of weeks ago. If we just go back to the original source footage, this gate, Farthing's Gate, appears behind the gun room, Rathvilly's gun room, which is next to Alfriston Church. And if you go down the alleyway there, you'll see that we've got this beautiful gate with some absolutely fantastic ironworks on. Just have a look at the level of detail that we've got on these. This was shot with a very, very high resolution, full frame, large format camera, as opposed to the one. So you can see there's a bit of blurring in the images because I'm not the steadiest handheld person in the world. And obviously we've got some lens blur as well. So there was a little bit of calibration to be done on the lens to work out how it bulges and so on, and then we can cancel that out. And then a bit like taking 2 shots like this and feeding them, one into the left eye and one into the right eye, or vice versa, you would get a stereoscopic image. However, with a computer, what we can do is feed in many eyes all at the same time. So this here was made of 22 shots, and you can see you've got a wide orbit of shots around the outside. Some of them are doubled up, and then a slightly closer set of shots focusing on the more detailed areas. Let's load up the denser point cloud and switch the images off. And as you can see, on an initial scan, it's really good. We managed to get rid of some of the camera shake and some of the lens blur there. Obviously, I couldn't get above to fill in the detail here, but let's have a look at just how much detail we have managed to get. So if we load up the untextured, remember this is the low poly, so it's kind of a rough one, but this is exactly what I'm referring to being able to take a scan and then send that to print. Obviously, we have a low res mesh there with no texture on it whatsoever, which can be used as a study of shape and form. Just load up the high res textured model. Okay, so the model's finally loaded, and because of the amount of detail, we're going to be working with really, really low frame rates here, because we are looking at about 1.5 million faces in this model. Let's have a zoom right in on this ironwork, and we can see again to the sub-millimetre we've got the little rusty sort of outcrops, as it were. It's a bit more with better lighting I could probably get this a lot sharper, but as you can see we're even getting down to the wood grain, and we're getting, let's have a look at that sign, have a look at the fantastic detail that we got in there. And we've got, obviously the letters are all stepping up and down, and this really is, we've got all the grain of the wood in there, and that is 1/10 of a millimetre. So when we're talking about accuracy, with a properly planned shoot, we can do the 3D scanning of things to a really great level. And not only do we go to the sub-millimeter, but like I've shown you a minute ago, let me just load that. There we go, and we've gone from sub-millimeter to literally miles across. So the application's really robust. The mechanics behind it is really robust. This wasn't really shot with a scan in mind. I was just sort of playing with it, and this is arguably there's 52 cameras gone in to make this shot up. So as you can see, we've got quite a few in the approach to the roof of the Plough and Harrow, and we've obviously got quite a few just orbiting around there. Let's have a quick look at that footage that I used to get that. So here we go, taking off from the Plough and Harrow. There'll be a little bit of jerkiness and frame rate issues because there's a lot going on in the background on my machine. In fact, I'm just going to switch some of that off. Hopefully with a few of those bits switched off, we should get a smoother playback. So straight up and out and over the river. Really lovely place to live, you know, really we are very lucky. We've got everything we need. And then a pan around to the village, a little bit of a wobble, a little bit of jello effect on there. Some beautiful lighting, you know, we picked the time when the sun was low in the sky, so we've got some lovely warm lighting. And you can see that the reason that we're stretched on the model is because we're a little bit blurry out there. So we just approach the roof from afar. Now this is a little bit close to the road. There we go, Matt, your roof is fine. Nothing to worry about. And then flew back off. Quite close to the trees there, but hey, it's exciting, isn't it? And saw a few friends out and about. There's a couple of them walking around here, which you'll see in a moment. It's a nice bit of wobble. So then we came back, did a nice gentle approach to the village, and a nice gentle pan around. Just load up the next video for where most of the data of that model. Look at that beautiful view, really shows the location. And of course, if we just pause the video there, these are the footings that we found. We've got frog furl over there. Right in the distance is the white horse at Hindover. Ooh, just skipped a bit too far. Got the Rathfinny estate coming across here, and then the village of Alfriston, just a short walk down the valley. Look at the beautiful colours of the rapeseed coming out there. So skipping on to one of the other shots that we did, this is the second shot. We thought it might be quite good fun to try and get a shot that you couldn't get any other way. So figured, hey, why not go and see if we can go between the trees. A little bit nerve-wracking going through there, especially as we got overhead power lines on the other side and a river. Don't like rivers normally. Let's just fast forward that. And that's gone ever so wobbly. And there we go. This is the bulk of the shot where we got the data from to make the model of the village. So as you can see, from one simple flight, we've gone from finding medieval footings and taking shots of frog furl and a nice aerial surround of Litlington into making 3D models, doing analysis, doing roof inspections, you know, really capturing tons of data there. So it's amazing what you can do with half an hour when you're a complete nerd. But I hope you've enjoyed it, and see you soon.
never been away, hey, never seen a day break. Leaning on my pillow